Good morning, Husker fans. Welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel, and we are back here today with our live chat, our pregame chat here for the Nebraska and Maryland game. We're going to look ahead to this game against Maryland. We'll talk some recruiting stuff, really anything else that you would like to talk about for anybody that joins us here on the Husker Big Red social channels on YouTube, on Facebook. So hop in on the chat. I already see we got James here as usual. Good morning, Chris and Danny, and all who tune in today. Go Big Red! So another big day for the Huskers. 4-1 Nebraska, 4-1 Maryland. So yeah, let's get into it. Danny, how are you on this Saturday morning?
I'm good. I just barely made it to this chat, but I am here. I'm happy that I made it, and I need some coffee today, but hopefully I can get my energy with a Husker win this afternoon.
Yeah, I brewed my coffee here just a couple seconds ago. You might even hear it in the background, maybe the coffee machine. So yeah, definitely got to get the coffee, the drink of champions, as Mike Ditka said once on the movie Kicking and Screaming, which is a great film.
That is a great movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. Whenever I talk about coaching, when I coach youth sports, I'm like, that's who I want to be, is Will Ferrell with the cappuccino machine on the sideline. Just kidding, but it is pretty. I do find it like ironic, and I think that Mike Ditka, even though he's the head coach of the Chicago Bears, did a pretty good job of acting in that movie. So I'll give him credit for that as a Green Bay Packers fan.
Early 2000s, Will Ferrell was great. You had Blades of Glory, you had Talladega Nights, you had Step Brothers, you had Kicking and Screaming. He was on a generational run of films in the early 2000s.
Good to see you again, Nicholas. Go Big Red. Thanks for hopping in the chat from YouTube. Mitch, I haven't seen you in the chat a couple of weeks here. What smells better, a walk in a humidor or the grocery store coffee aisle?
Probably the grocery store coffee aisle for me.
I'm not sure. What is a humidor? What is that?
I'm not sure either, so that's why I say grocery store coffee aisle. So
Yeah.
I was hoping you would know.
You need to enlighten us, Mitch. But it's good to
blow up my spot, Chris.
But it's good to see you back in the chat, and man, I'm excited for this game though. 2:30 Central Time kickoff, Big Ten Network too. I'm excited about a room full of cigars. Oh, okay, I'm not a big cigar fan, so I definitely would take the coffee.
I never knew it was called a humidor, but I have I've been in a room full. That's a tough one because I love the smell of a good cigar. So I'm gonna say a room full of cigars because I do love the smell of cigars. They smell very especially the sweeter ones. They smell like very sweet. So I'll take the humidor.
I'd be down to watch the. I don't know if teams do that anymore. Light up the cigars. I was gonna say I'd be down to watch the Huskers light up some cigars after like winning the championship or something. The boxes that they're kept in are pretty cool.
The Celtics do it because if you know basketball history a little bit, Red Auerbach used to smoke cigars, and so they do it in honor of him when they win the championship.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I mean, yeah, Red Auerbach with the old cigar. He won quite a few championships. Made a few. He was a great coach. He was a pretty good GM though too. The opposite of Bill Belichick. He probably Red Auerbach, the GM, probably won Red Auerbach, the coach, quite a few games, I would say.
Bill is destroying his legacy in real time. This is pretty sad to see. I kind of knew he had this in them. I just didn't think he would go down this quickly.
So the pipe shop smells better. That's Steven. That's his comment from YouTube. Thanks for joining us on the chat today, Steven, as well. And I can't necessarily disagree with that.
Bill Hudson, that's hilarious.
That took me a second, Oracle, but that was a good comment. Bill Hudson needs to retire.
I agree, and it's really interesting talking about telling a player reportedly to go rehab on his own and lock him out of the facilities, and then trying to put this team together and just absolutely failing. And I know it takes more than one season, but this is beyond just putting a team together and putting a winning product on the field. This is pretty not unbelievable because, again, I knew he had this in him, but pretty alarming to see how rapidly he is going downhill.
Yeah, so Mitch says might not finish the season. I'll have to look to fire him for cause though. They'll him a ton of money. Yeah. Otherwise, it's been just a terrible situation. And I didn't think it would be quite this much of a disaster. I didn't think they would win a ton of games this year, but I thought that it would be like I don't know what I thought, but Yeah, it's been a disaster, and he should have just walked away. I mean, this is the classic thing where guys have a hard time like preserving their legacy, and this is going to kind of stain his legacy a little bit. Not that much. I mean, we look back 20 years, it'll be like a joke, and we'll make fun of him for this whole Hudson thing and this North Carolina thing. But I mean, if I was him, I would want to just like cut bait and take your girlfriend and go retire, man. Just like, what are you doing here? I just don't really get it, but whatever.
Well, the thing is, he never really won anything without Tom Brady, and so I think that will put his legacy more into question than this. But it's just crazy to see. I never really thought it would go like this. I mean, again, I knew that this could be possible due to his ego and stuff like that, but I didn't think we would actually see it unfold like this.
Yeah, and I mean he'll always have that, but I mean, I could say the same thing about Phil. I mean, what championship did Phil Jackson win without Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant? I mean, great players win championships, and that's just how it is. So, people will say that, but I definitely, I do believe that Bill Belichick played a huge role in those championship runs. So, I mean, well, you're definitely right that Tom Brady could do it on his own. He could do it without Bill. Bill probably couldn't do it without Tom, but he still had a big role in that, I think, too.
Yeah. I think actually his younger son, Brady's younger son, is pretty good at throwing the football. So I don't know. I don't know if Bill will make it that long by the time Brady's son is getting ready to play college football.
Plus, I mean, if Tom Brady's son's going to be playing college football, I would think he would be playing in Michigan. There'd be, I would think, a strong chance, with all of his ties there. You never know, though. But I definitely don't see him going to North Carolina to play for Bill Belichick.
I don't see many kids going to North Carolina after this because they're worse now than they were when they fired Mac Brown.
Bill put the roster together. He had a gift for talent evaluation. I mean, he did at one time. I would say he struggled with quarterback. I mean, but I don't know that whole situation get really screwed up.
When you look at what Mac Jones is doing in San Francisco now, it's interesting. I don't think Mac Jones would have been Tom Brady, obviously, right? But I think there is something there with Mac Jones. I think naming Matt Patricia offensive coordinator in 2022 and then refusing to talk to Mac Jones at the end of that 2023 season kind of really messed with the kid's head, and you kind of saw Bill's ego creep in there too, kind of like what we're seeing here in North Carolina. So I think he might have had the right idea by Mac Jones. He just self-sabotaged the Mac Jones era.
Yeah, and Robert Kraft, Mitch said this is a great. Robert Kraft is a great owner. I mean, he truly.
Yeah.
The story of the Patriots really is a remarkable one in that they were one of the worst professional sports franchises, not just in the NFL. Like, they were a garbage franchise that nobody wanted. And Robert Kraft, he was just a fan, and he was like, I'm tired of this team sucking. And he's just a good businessman. So, I mean, it does show you that having good ownership and good leadership, like, it does matter. And that's why, teams like the Chicago Bears have sucked for so long, because their ownership sucks and they get in the way. Like, I mean, that's why the Commanders, Redskins, whatever, were terrible, because Daniel Snyder was like the worst owner in the league, and that's why the Cowboys are having so many problems. I mean, there's a reason why, like, the Dallas Cowboys are the only franchise where the owner's taking post-game questions. You know what I mean? Nobody else, no other owners.
And general managing the team.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's ridiculous. And he ran out Jimmy Johnson, like the Dallas Cowboys probably would have won more Super Bowls if Jerry Jones wasn't such an idiot and had just left Jimmy Johnson to coach the team instead of bringing in Barry Switzer. But I mean, whatever, ancient history. We probably should talk some Nebraska here at some point. I did see this message here from Co. Wanted to say good morning before we miss that. Good to see you. Thanks for hopping on the chat again, Co. So how we feeling about Maryland here today, guys? Okay, no more fiddle faddle talk. Fiddle faddle foo foo talk, Mitch says.
I'm feeling pretty good about Maryland. I really am. My big question is the offensive line for Nebraska, but I feel like you said on Thursday, we match up really well with this Maryland team. Like you said, they can't really run the ball, and Malik Washington, he's not really a running quarterback, so that works in our favor as well. We're going to have to rely on the pass rush guys like Deshaun McCullough and Williams Nwaneri and maybe even Vincent Shavers. But I do like how we match up with this Maryland team more so than I have in other years.
Yeah, I think this is a good matchup, and yeah, I don't know. I've just seen a lot of comments from people saying that they don't believe in the run or in the pass defense, or that the pass defense only has good numbers because the run defense, isn't great or whatever, and the run defense is poor. But let's give this pass defense the credit. Like they deserve a lot of credit, and I would say that personally, I mean, I think that Bryce Underwood is a more talented and a better quarterback than Malik Washington. Brandon Sorsby definitely is. Chili or Childs, whatever, how you ever pronounce his name, I don't really care. He's probably in that same realm. Like, I don't think that Malik Washington is any better than those other three quarterbacks that Nebraska's faced so far this season. He's had three cupcake teams. Wisconsin has one of the worst pass defenses in college football. So, I mean, he did throw the ball well against them, but he also hasn't had a whole heck of a lot of pressure on him. And when he does have pressure, he's struggled. So what I personally think is going to happen is I think Nebraska's going to shut down the run for the most part. And then I think they're going to be able to get some pressure on Malik Washington. And I think they're going to make him look like a freshman today. I think they're going to intercept him once. I think they're going to get some hits on him. And I don't think Maryland's going to score 20 points. I think the Black Shirts are going to have a pretty good day today.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, and I think I honestly think Malik Washington might be a little bit better than Childs, but not by much. But I think it's also going to start with the running game too, kind of having that balance. And Emmett Johnson had another decent game last weekend, and we kind of looking to see who else can step up at the running back position for depth, but. I think having that balance, that offensive balance, and having that running game is going to be important too for Nebraska.
And so first comment from Cover, I want to get back to this one. First road game. I wonder how many fans they will have there. I'm definitely, I think there'll be some Nebraska people there. Maryland fans they've been kind of wishy-washy, but it feels like they're a little more excited about this team. I mean, they have the freshman quarterback 4-1, so I feel like there'll be quite a bit of support there, but I'm sure there'll be some Nebraska fans. So Nebraska hasn't had a QB that's really thrown a lot against them. I mean, that is true. Today, I think that changes. Although I will say, when I've looked back at Brandon Sorsby's numbers, for instance, I think this is really interesting. He has I guess he has a season high of attempts against Kansas, I think it was, where he threw for 388 yards or whatever. But outside of that, his season high in pass attempts came against Nebraska. 25. So in his other 3 or 4 games outside of Kansas, against like Iowa State, whoever else they played, Bowling Green, whoever, he threw 24 passes or less, and he averaged like 295 passing yards in those games. And against Nebraska, he threw 25 passes and he threw for 69 yards. So even though I get what you're saying, 25 pass attempts isn't a lot, against other teams, Brandon Sorsby turned those 25 attempts into nearly 300 yards. I mean, he did that against Iowa State, had 200 some yards on 21 attempts. So I feel like I understand your point, but I do feel like that's not going to make that big of a difference. Maryland does throw the ball more than anybody in the Big Ten. Malik Washington leads the Big Ten in pass attempts, which is kind of interesting for a true freshman quarterback. You don't see that a ton, and I feel like that's going to come back to bite them today. I really do. We'll see though. But I feel like the way Nebraska loses this game is if the run defense gives up like over 100 yards. That's where I feel like Nebraska will lose this game.
And the run defense was considerably better against Michigan State, so I do see some progress there. I think today will be another good test, and if they have another good game like they did last week, I think it would be fair to say that the run defense has improved. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but they're already looking at some talented 2027 defensive linemen, and I do see progress there, both on the recruiting trail and on the field.
Okay, catch up on a few comments here with Mitch. I don't worry about the defense at all. They are coming strong. Noweri and McCullough are a formidable pair coming off the edge. I mean, that's definitely true. Williams Noweri is really coming on. He had 6 pressures last week. McCullough, I thought, could have had a better game against Michigan State. I was disappointed how he lost the edge on that one touchdown. I thought he would have a better day, but I mean, that's fine. Not everybody's going to have a great day every week. But yeah, I do feel good about the edge players. And Mitch also said, how to negate their edge rushers will be to run the football. And I do think that this is an Emmett Johnson day. Now, one thing about Maryland is they have run the football, or their run defense is good. They stuffed Wisconsin. They're only giving up like 2.6 yards per carry, so it's not going to be easy. But I just think that Emmett Johnson's one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. I really do. I think you have the Justice Haynes from Michigan, and you know what? I don't know a single back in the Big Ten that's been better than him. I don't miss me with those two Penn State guys. They suck. I'm sorry, but they absolutely suck. For like they're the Drew Aller of running backs. Like, when have you ever seen Nicholas Singleton make a big play? Or the other dude? Like, never. If they get blocked for 10 yards, they will get you 10 yards. Like, I swear to everything holy that Emmett Johnson is he's more dynamic than them. I see him make guys miss more than those guys do, just honestly. So I think he's going to have a good day today. I think he's going to rush for 100 yards, and I think we're going to look back at this game today and be like, Emmett Johnson's the reason Nebraska won on offense, at least. So I agree with your idea there, Mitch. 10,000 fans is what Mitch says. Justin, thank you for the comment from YouTube. About 10 to 15 Husker, 10, 15,000. 30,000 Maryland. Let's see. Mitch, we're lucky we played Cincinnati when we did. I still think we would beat Cincinnati this week, but let's see. Sorsby was playing in a hornet's nest at Arrowhead.
It was loud, I will say that. There were a lot of Husker fans at Arrowhead, but and I honestly do agree with Mitch, because I think if we played Cincinnati now, they would give us a much better game.
Yeah, I think they would. I mean, they
almost beat us in the opener, save for a Malcolm Hartzog interception. So
I agree with what Mitch is saying. If it would have been in Cincinnati at their stadium, when and where, probably would have been different. But you could say that about a lot of games, you know. Nebraska's run defense exposure could just be due to facing two top 10 running teams in Cincinnati and Michigan. Michigan is rushing for 237 yards per game. I mean, when you talk about matchups, and the other thing about the 3-3-5 defense, part of the reason it can be effective against the run is there is a lot of stunting and blitzing, right? And so what happens is you get offensive linemen confused. They don't know exactly who they're supposed to block and yada, yada. So that's one way that it can work. But what can happen when you're stunting, sometimes you can stunt right into the wrong play. And that's what happened in Nebraska a couple times. That's the risk. And you gave up an 80-yard touchdown. But, I mean, really, outside of that game, I don't think the run defense has been – I understand the weaknesses of it, but it hasn't been bad to the point where, you know, they haven't been gashed where they can't get off the field outside of the Michigan game. So I do think that was just a bad matchup for Nebraska. Like, I think this is a good matchup for Nebraska.
I'm just reading some of the comments here.
Yeah, thanks for all the comments, guys. Run D was great against Michigan State, but they also had two alignment out. Just hesitant to call this team elite yet. That will beat all cupcakes. Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely want to see them do it against and they should be able to stop Maryland. I mean, Maryland, they're getting like 3.3 yards. Their leading running back is averaging like 40 yards per game. I mean, so if Maryland is able to come in and run the ball in Nebraska, I think that'll be a sign that pretty much anybody can do it, you know, from here on out. So these guys do need to stand up, and I think they will. I think their run fits. I think they really fixed that stuff over the bye week. And that's stuff that can be done with coaching. It seems like the linebackers maybe had a little bit more depth last week, and I think that potentially helped them. You also saw, I mean, and this hasn't been talked about a lot, but you know, Vincent Shavers no longer has the or next to his name. It's Vincent Shavers. It's not Marcus Watson Trent. So interesting to see that.
What's also interesting to see is that Malcolm Hartzog is out again.
Yeah, which I don't mind. I mean, I'm not saying that I would like it to have him as depth, but I think the lineup that they have right now is pretty good. So
and I'm wondering if him being out again will be a permanent thing as this lineup continues to gel, because you know, I never like seeing a guy out, and I wish him all the best, but I don't mind the fact that he is out either necessarily.
And then McCullough picks a bad. Yeah, he does. But I mean, that's okay. You're not going to be perfect. The Drew Aller of running backs. Well, Danny loves Drew Aller, so I had to match his energy with. I'm sick of hearing about these guys, and I've written about them before. Like, they're so great, but it's like their play on the field does not match their reputation, and that's.
Are you talking about the whole team or just the running backs? Because I would put that for the whole team.
I mean, pretty much the whole team. I mean, really.
I was gonna say. I
mean,
that could go for the whole team.
Yeah, it's just like. I mean, they're like, oh, Drew's not choking enough, so we got to help him out.
So, do you think we beat them in Happy Valley?
I don't know. I still think it's going to be a tough game, but
yeah,
we'll see. I do think Nebraska. I've always thought Nebraska had a chance in that game, but I I started feeling crazy, but you'll remember in our preseason predictions, I predicted Nebraska to lose at UCLA, and people said it was crazy. And so I feel a little less crazy about that prediction because my point was like it's hard to travel across country, and I didn't think UCLA's coach would be fired at this point. But I just was like Nico Amavelia is like good enough to win a game if he plays up to his potential, and that's kind of like what happened. So like I am worried about that UCLA game, but we're the best team Maryland's played so far. Maryland will be the third or fourth best team we've played. Yeah, Maryland played Washington last weekend. I think Washington's a good team. I do think
Yeah,
we're
I think they are
better.
too.
They
Yeah.
whipped Rutgers last night, but I mean,
No, I mean we struggled with Rutgers last year, so Rutgers is like not an easy game just from a physicality standpoint. They play tough. They may not be the best, but they play tough, and they've always played tough.
Justin Roach, thanks for the comment. Justin from YouTube again. This is really spoiled by week one having a QB run on a very experienced D line. I think the run defense, and then the 3 plays versus Michigan that had to do with being lined up incorrectly, very fixable. And yeah, just like I said too, it's and the one touchdown run, the 80 yard or it was 75, 80 yards on Haynes. Like he just made a really good play. Like the guy filled, and I know Justice Haynes made him look down, made him kind of look stupid, but that was just an elite move. There's not many guys who can make that little juke step like he did. And then
that
the
was
speed.
a nasty juke step. I would have broken my ankles, like literally broken my ankles. Not like hyperbole. Oh, broke this guy. I would have broken my ankles if I tried to make that move.
Yeah, like it was just great. It was just great vision, and he saw the guy barreling down to the gap and just did a little shimmy, and so yeah, like some guys are just going to make great plays, and you're right. It just sometimes when you have that defense, you still, like I said, you stunt into the wrong, or you stunt into the wrong place, you stunt into the wrong play, and that can happen. And it happened to, and Michigan's the team that can make that happen to you. Very few other teams will be able to do that, I would say. I picked the under on this game, so it will probably go over.
Let's see. Let me take a look at DraftKings and see what the over under is.
And the run narrative, yeah. Yeah, Michigan kind of covered 3 big runs. They didn't run down our throats. No, actually, there was quite a few times. I mean, the last drive they did a little bit. With like not the last drive, but like 10 minutes left, that drive where they kicked that field goal. That was probably the most disappointing because that was kind of just like Jordan Marshall getting some key first downs. But yeah.
So the over under is 47.5.
47.5. So I got it under. I have 27-17. So I have it on the under. Elijah Judy does deserve some props. I 100% agree with you, Mitch. I ripped him after the first game. I thought he played terrible against Cincinnati. He was getting washed out, and he's played well. He forced the fumble against Michigan. He had the sack.
He has played a lot better.
And he's kind of, who hasn't really done much is Riley Ben Popple. He barely played last week.
Yeah.
So you talk about guys who haven't met expectations. He might be one of them.
Which is kind of. Do you think it's just because he's not performing, or do you think it's because they like Judy more?
I mean, I don't know if it's a 1-game thing, but I don't remember even seeing his name on the snap count last week. So I don't know. I think that's definitely a him issue. I mean, they had David Hofkin in there, and so I mean, that kind of tells me something. A 10-2 team would be elite. Yes, there are a lot of people saying that. I would think 10-2, and I mean, it's going to be really hard for me to see a 10-2 team from the Big Ten getting left out of the playoff. Like Nebraska could have somewhat of a weak resume at 10-2. I mean, say if they lose to Penn State, that's their only other loss. They beat USC. I mean, they could be 10-2 without a top 25 win. I mean, just.
But I'll take that.
Yeah, I would absolutely take that too. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to get them into the playoff. I mean, you're kind of like Indiana last year without a marquee win. So, I mean, if you're in Nebraska, like you need USC to. I feel like you need USC to win this game tonight between Michigan and USC, because I know you lost to Michigan, and that's whatever. Like, that's not going to hurt that loss that much, but you kind of need USC to win this game and the next few, so that when they come to town in Lincoln, like hopefully that's a matchup of 1-loss teams, because I think that's where Nebraska could get a lot of credit for that game. And I remember you said last week Nebraska might not be ranked until the USC game. You might be right about that. I thought they might get ranked a little bit sooner, and maybe they will, but I don't think they're going to get any meaningful traction in the rankings until they beat USC. And if USC doesn't beat Michigan today, then that might not happen even then.
Do you know who has the night game tonight? I'm looking.
USC Michigan.
Okay, that's a night game because
by night you mean the 7:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about sicko. We're not talking about the sicko night game like midnight your time. But yeah, the NBC night game is Michigan USC, which should be I think it should be a really good game.
I think Indiana Oregon should have gotten the 7:30 because I'm bummed it's on at the same time as the Nebraska game, but it's okay.
I know. I'll be not watching. I'll be not watching Oregon Indiana. Sorry guys. As long as this team didn't overload on cupcakes, I'm feeling good about this game. I've seen for a second I thought you were talking about cupcakes on the schedule when you mean actual cupcakes. So yeah, that is a problem. Crab cakes. Oh my lord, I cannot read. Crab cakes didn't overload on crab cakes. Yes.
Yeah, crab cakes are very popular in the area.
I do not eat things from the sea, so I would not be overindulging on the crab cakes.
I don't really either, but I did have some crab cakes when I went to Maryland one year, and they weren't bad. I actually really liked them.
I mean, it's possible with our schedule. I wouldn't call us elite because of our strength of schedule if we go 10-2. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it. I just want to have 10 wins. I would love to celebrate 10 wins this season, whether it's called elite or not. After a 6-6 season, yeah, I'll take it. It's a good idea to be spending a whole day early on road games in these cities that are on the other side of the country. That will be standard procedure going forward. It will raise the cost though to travel expenses. Yeah, I mean, let the kids go out and enjoy it, man. That's part of what being a college football player is supposed to be about. If any 10-2 team gets denied, it would be Nebraska. Yeah. I mean, yeah, probably. And the thing that worries me is you could have a situation like, what if Michigan and Nebraska are both 10-2? Then you're by default behind Michigan. So that's another reason why you probably need I think the best scenario for Nebraska. I am a Michigan guy, so they probably need Nebraska or Michigan to lose this game and then lose to Ohio State, and then Michigan would have 3 losses, and then Nebraska would be over that hurdle. Then you beat USC, and then it's okay, so who are the other teams that would be in the mix? Is Penn State going to make it? I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State and Columbus.
No, I don't think they're going to make it.
So they would be, I mean, best case scenario, even if Penn State beats Indiana and wins every other game, they'd be 9-3 with a win over Indiana. Would that be good enough to jump a 10-2 Nebraska team with a win over USC? I don't know. I just maybe, probably not though, because they'd have that loss at UCLA that would weigh them down. Whereas if Nebraska's 2 losses and that scenario, Penn State would beat us too though. So I don't know. That's where it gets interesting. Is 9-3 against 10-2, but if you have the head-to-head, is that enough to get you ahead? There might be some really interesting conversations and debates among the committee, among Big Ten teams, because I just feel like there's 5 or 6 teams that have a shot, and there's a lot of teams that, for whatever reason, don't play each other in the Big Ten schedule. So you could have a lot of teams at the top with 9-10 losses.
I wish we played Washington this year. I'm glad we missed on Oregon and Illinois this year, but I wish we played Washington. I think that would have been a fun matchup.
Yeah, Nebraska, I mean, they've had some home series with the Huskies back in the 90s and then early 2000s, with Jake Locker, T-Magic. So that was kind of a natural.
Locker, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, that was kind of a natural rivalry, kind of with UCLA too, because they had some matchups with them too over the years. So.
It makes sense because, Dan obviously has connections at Washington, so we could see it.
So USC has a tough couple of games before the Skurs. I'm wondering who else they play. I'm going to look it up, unless you just know off the top of your head. Go. You could throw it in the chat too. But let's see USC schedule.
They have Notre Dame next weekend.
Okay. That's a big. Okay, so Michigan, Notre Dame, then a bye week,
and then Nebraska.
That'll be interesting.
Honestly, I don't think Notre Dame is worthy of their 16th overall ranking. But
what's funny is that you probably, if you think about it, and I know Nebraska has to take care of its own business or whatever, but there's probably no 2 fan bases cheering more for USC than Notre Dame and Nebraska right now, because we want you to be good when we beat you, it means something. That's the interesting thing about the playoff nowadays. Lots of people seem to think Latif is the answer at QB to negate our worrisome tackle blocking because of his mobility. But is it fair to bench Raiola or other positions? Failure is even a good idea. I think it's dumb. I agree with you, Mitch. I don't think it's intelligent to sit there and say that TJ Latif should play or that he would be better than Raiola. And so I don't know where people are. I mean, like I get he had a few runs against Akron and Houston Christian, but like I don't know why people think that that's going to just magically translate to the Big Ten. And it's like you can't just have your quarterback. I mean, what are they going to do? Hey, TJ, just run around. You know, if you see the rush, just start running around. That's not how it works. Like it's just I don't know, man. It kind of drives me crazy, that narrative. We finally got a big time quarterback in Dylan Raiola, a guy who I think has played pretty darn well this year, and people are still calling for the backup. So I mean, I just think that shows you how hard it is to be a quarterback nowadays. So anyway, elephant in the room. Should Danny be looking for a contract extension for Rule sooner rather than later? Penn State is looking at a 4 or 5 loss
Yes.
season. Anyone want to guess their athletic directors? Who their athletic directors first call would?
I would give him. I would be working on that right now. I would give him as much money, as is allowed, or as much money as he wants, and I would also, any extra stipulations, I would definitely consider adding onto his contract. I would absolutely be looking for a contract extension for Matt Rule right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be. I still want to see how the season goes, but yeah, I think that's where this is headed. I mean, Matt's clearly. I think this team, even if they maybe don't meet all of our expectations, I think they're clearly going to improve on wins this year. So, I mean, I do think that's going to be a situation where Matt Rule gets an extension probably by the end of the season. But yeah, I don't know if Penn State's first call would be to Matt Rule, to be honest with you, because it's like, I know that it's Baylor and Temple and stuff, but he does have that AP. He's only won 2 ranked, beaten 2 ranked teams. Like, is that? Like, I know that from a Nebraska perspective, we're thinking that, but I don't think that Penn State fans are thinking like, let's go get Matt Rule. I know that Nebraska fans are worried about that because of those ties, but I mean, from a Penn State fan perspective, like you're firing James Franklin to hire a coach that, has had a few mediocre seasons at Nebraska and hasn't ever really beaten top 20. Like, I don't know that Matt Rule from a Penn State fan side of it, like, I don't think that that's the home run hire that they want. You know what I mean? Like, they probably think they're going to get like Dan Lanning or somebody. So I'm honestly like, I don't think Matt Rule to Penn State is like a remote possibility. Like, I'm not fractionally even worried about it.
I would be looking at a contract extension though.
I mean, I would be, but I'm still at the point, like, I want to see Matt Rule prove it a little bit more before I give him a contract extension. Like, that's just where I'm at. But I understand if you have to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, he's built this program back up, so for that alone, I think I would give him the extension. But I would like to see a little bit more, like you're mentioning, for sure.
This goes back to the Raiola conversation. I don't know how how it's possible people think about benching him wild. Yeah, I mean, it's been a topic ever since that Houston Christian game or Akron game, and I don't know.
What game, Chris?
Crazy. Yeah, Houston Christian and Akron.
All right, there you go.
But yeah, I can say pretty. I've had a lot of takes, and there's probably a lot of them that are wrong, but I'm pretty confident that I can say that the Nebraska coaching staff has not considered this for a single second. I don't think there's a single person on the staff that's ever said, let's play TJ Latif. No. So.
Well, no, and no disrespect to TJ Latif. It's just you have a really, really good quarterback, a quarterback that fans have been calling for years. They've been, quote, sick of running quarterbacks, and they want a quarterback they could throw. They finally get a quarterback they can throw, and now they want to bench him for a quarterback they can run. Make it make sense.
Mitch goes, we have dumb fans, go. I mean,
I'm not going to say we do, but I understand where Mitch is coming from.
I mean, every fan's dumb sometimes. You can't really be. I would say that you, as a fan, you're always going to be. I do stupid stuff as a fan all the time. I say lots of dumb stuff, but that kind of takes the cake, though. The thing, like I've said, if I'll give anybody a pass for what they say during the game. Like, I understand things get crazy, but if you're like sitting here on a Tuesday saying that TJ Latif should be playing over Dylan Raiola, that's when I have a problem.
Well, there have been people that have been sitting here on a Tuesday saying that.
I know. They're the ones I have a problem with. I just can't excuse it. I can excuse it like, okay, Dylan Raiola throws an interception. Like, okay, I can understand people being like, put in Latif. I don't understand it. Like, I think it's stupid, but I can understand the fan perspective of that. I mean, I've called for Matt LaFleur to get fired like 50 times on Twitter, so Like that's just, I understand get like the overreacting during the game, like it happens. But to sit here like in the middle of the week and to seriously think you should be playing Dylan Raiola or Latifah Raiola, like I do not understand that.
Well, okay, so I'm going to read you some statistics, and you tell me where this is
I
from.
like this comment. Those who think Rule is going to Penn State have room temperature IQs.
Jeff Sims, 8 for 13, 62 yards, 2 interceptions. Chubba Purdy, 1 for 3, 24 yards, and an interception. Heinrich Harburg, 1 for 5, 1 interception, no passing yards. Those were the statistics the last time that we played Maryland. So anybody suggesting benching Dylan Raiola, do you not remember where we were just 2 years ago in our last Maryland matchup?
Yeah, no, I don't believe that they do. So I don't believe they do remember that. No. This is a good point, I thought, by Justin, that Rule's contract goes through 2031. It should be mentioned, that Jeff Sims, I think, is going to be starting today.
Yeah, he is. I wrote something for Cornhuskers Wire yesterday that he will be starting. I didn't even realize. I knew he graduated from Nebraska, but I didn't realize he's in his 6th year of eligibility. Not even like joking, year number 6, and he's going to start against Utah. So.
Yeah, here we are in the year of our Lord 2025, and Jeff Sims is still throwing interceptions.
And Chubba Purdy, I don't know what happened.
If LaFleur followed the women in Wisconsin would riot. I mean, maybe, but the guy can't. We need Mike. Sorry, Nebraska. They need Mike Eckler up in Green Bay. I'm just kidding.
What was Purdy's stat line this season? You posted, and then like people were like, "Oh, can you do better?" I mean, probably.
It was like 1 touchdown, like 7 interceptions or something. I mean,
I can do that easy. I can do that easy. Yeah, I probably could.
I could probably throw 7 interceptions, maybe 8.
Maybe I can use my power chair to roll for a touchdown, and yeah.
That was funny. Yeah.
Yes, I probably could do better than Chubba Purdy, honestly, right now, and I feel kind of bad because he was highly thought of coming out of high school, and he was what was it, Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator? He was one of his guys.
Purdy's groin had a higher QB rating. we'll always have that first quarter at Wisconsin.
That was electric. Yeah.
Yeah, he put up 14, and we're like, "Oh, is Chubba Purdy good?" For a second, you thought, "Why hasn't he been playing?" And then later in that game, he reminded you why he hasn't been playing. So. Good times that we've had with our quarterbacks. So yeah, I'm fine with what Dylan Raiola's doing. Yeah, please. Yeah, let's bench him and then have him hit the trend. It's like, do you realize how if he entered the portal, how quickly he would get scooped up? It would just be
like, elite programs.
Yeah, Penn State would trade for him in half a heartbeat. Like
Miami, honestly, it would probably be sniffing around and.
Like if James Franklin could actually if he could actually do this trade, he would send Drew Aller to Nebraska for Dylan Raiola in a heartbeat. Like, he would.
I don't want Drew Aller in Nebraska, so at that point, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go with
that'd be horrible.
Marcos Davila. Hell, I'd take Heinrich Harburg again over Drew Aller.
I'm gonna pass out from laughing.
One thing I did want to say about quarterbacks is that Trey Taylor got an invite to the Army All-American Bowl. So
yeah, Trey Taylor.
Congrats to Trey. I'm not surprised, but it's just good. We've had a lot of guys in that game in recent years, so that's a sign that recruiting is really improving.
Yeah, and Trey is working on some recruits in the 2027 class, and another sign that our QB room is going to be at a really good spot. So. If your quarterback room is taken care of, then you're probably going to win in a lot of other places. So I feel pretty good about the direction of this program. I want to see some more wins, obviously, but I feel like they're coming. Well, I feel this is a good chance for Nebraska to get some road wins. Though I said that earlier this week. I think that'll be, we all wanted to see the progress of getting a top 25 win, and I hope that still happens. But winning back-to-back games on the road against teams like Maryland and Minnesota would be a true sign of progress.
And I know Nebraska is getting some elite recruits on campus for the defensive line soon. So I know we're worried about defensive line recruiting, but I think it's coming. And I think, what Terry Braden's been able to do with this unit to this point of the season is a sign of progress as well as they continue to develop.
Yeah, and I'm very encouraged by the development of Williams Noweri for one. David Hofkin is another. Elijah Judy's playing well, so I do
Keith
think that.
Petrizak.
Yeah, Kate Petrizak. Yeah, so I think that Terry Braden is doing a pretty good job developing these guys. He'll get there as a recruiter. Like it's very difficult to come in as a recruiter in January and do much of anything. I mean, it just is. Like, these guys have already. How many times have they offered and visited coaches and stuff? So he definitely. I mean, he tried. He tried really hard with Valdensone, who they just didn't make get a lot of traction, but he went to freaking Sweden, so it's not like he's not trying. So I think
Davis, they sniffed around for a little bit. They tried hard but just didn't make it at the end.
Yeah, Wilson Dittman wants Braden fired because he hasn't had any blue chips recruits in all of his 6 months on the job. Well, Wilson doesn't understand recruiting or football or much of anything, so I wouldn't take much of what he says with I wouldn't take anything. I wouldn't take anything he says of consequence. No. But yeah, I mean, it's a common phenomenon. You see this all the time with coaches, and they come in and they get hired obviously after the NFL or college season, and it's a completely new recruiting slate. And as much as we want to say recruiting is about money and yada yada yada, and some of it, a big chunk of it is, but it's still about building those relationships. And if you come in way late, it makes it tough. So I mean, especially when everybody has money now. Every single program can offer money, and but I think after what Terry Braden's been able to do this season, it's going to make it a lot easier for kids. And you know what? Guys that come from the NFL, they tend to do really well on the recruiting trail. So once he gets his feet wet, he'll be just fine.
I mean, look at Matt Rule.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I know he was a college coach first, but even having that experience, and then you have Phil Snow, even you have John Butler. I think John Butler is going to have a very successful time on the recruiting trail after this season, because this defense, sure, the run defense hasn't been the best at times, but the secondary has been phenomenal. And not only John Butler deserves credit, but Addison Williams too. I've been impressed with the job that he's been able to do. I know there were some questions because the pass defense was a little leaky at times at UCF last year, but as much as John Butler gets credit, I think Addison Williams deserves his flowers as well. I think he's done a really good job. I don't know what your thoughts are on him.
Yeah, I think he's done a nice job recruiting, and he has done really well in the secondary, I think. I mean, that's been probably the best position group on the team, honestly. I mean, just those guys have really been locked down. We'll see how it translates today, but our front seven next year will catch up to the secondary. I think so. I mean, we'll lose McCullough. And Javin Wright, but I mean, you'll have Shavers.
Singleton,
you'll lose Singleton.
Although he's not really front seven, never mind.
But you'll still have quite a few talented players there, and Dawson Merritt's making some really nice plays. So I think he might be in line to take that job from
Tyson Terry might play next year.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they haven't even put, when they have the injury reports, and like last week they came out and had players that were out for the season. Tyson Terry wasn't on the list of players that was out for the season. I don't know if that means anything, but even if he could just get some practices in, I don't care about him being on the field, but if he could just get some practices in this year before spring ball, that would be encouraging.
Yeah, for sure.
Once these new assistants prove themselves, Nebraska will get more blue chips.
I
think part of it too is just building their relationship too, So he's going to be in a better spot with. He just, you're behind the 8 ball with a lot of these guys. I mean, so it makes it even more difficult. Plus having to make up, against a program like Georgia, so it makes it really difficult.
And that's the thing that James said. New assistants. We talked about Terry Braden, but they hired a new wide receivers coach. They had a new secondary coach. They hired in December. In Williams. So it's not just a Terry Braden thing. What can DeKeel Shorts do with a full offseason on the recruiting trail? What can Addison Williams do with a full offseason on the recruiting trail? What can John Butler do with a full offseason on the recruiting trail as defensive coordinator? And honestly, we talk a lot about John Butler and Addison Williams and the job that they've done. But I've also been really impressed with DeKeel Shorts based on the play of the wide receivers. I think the wide receivers have played great. Isaiah Hunter and Dane Key, they're really good wide receivers, but I think the coaching has elevated their game. Ja'Cory Barney's had a great year. And you've even seen plays from guys like Quinn Clark, and I think the wide receiver unit has really been elevated to a higher standard, and I think Shorts deserves a lot of credit for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the guys in the room that have improved. You mentioned Hunter and Key from the portal, but Ja'Cory Barney has taken a big step. Yeah, and Quinn Clark. Quinn Clark really has me excited. I mean, he's I think he's had a catch in almost every game this year.
Yeah.
So that guy might be, the freakiest athlete in the entire roster, and the fact that he's producing as a redshirt freshman, I think bodes well for the future. Cortez Mills has done some nice things.
Yeah.
So yeah, the linebacker, is that Pierce? Is that Mooberry, or was that last year? I gotta look. You're talking about the 2026 class, right, Mitch?
Christian Jones? No, Christian Jones is a 5-star.
Oh, that's who it is.
Or
that's
is it?
who it is. Christian. That must be who he's talking about. Christian.
Is that
Jones.
Who you're talking about, bitch? Because Mooberry, I think, is only a 3-star, but I think he's going to be good. I like Mooberry's physical profile.
Let me see here. I'm blanking on, because this year I don't know if we have a linebacker. So Jones, they did get Jace Reynolds. That's the guy I'm thinking about this year. Who he's kind of
yeah. Because Mooberry, I think, was actually last year, right?
Yeah, he was. Yep. So yeah, Christian Jones. I mean, yeah. So your linebacker core, you got Shavers, Christian Jones, Dawson Merritt, Willis McGahee. Got some nice players in that group. So yeah, I feel good about that.
I know that there's some other linebackers that just recently entered the portal. I don't know if Nebraska is actually in on this kid, but I'd love for them to take a look at Braylon Hodge. He decommitted from Michigan State earlier this week. He was the 9th overall linebacker in the Rivals 300 for the 2026 class. So I'm wondering if Nebraska makes a move there.
Yeah, potentially. I do think he's kind of been flirting with Oregon and Michigan and Texas, I believe. So they'll have to try to get him there sooner rather than later. I know that they also are one of the teams in on a Penn State receiver that just decommitted. This is in 2027. I think his name's Khalil Thomas, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a top 50 guy from Pennsylvania. So that would be an interesting one. Matt Rule's ties maybe could factor in there for Nebraska.
And also EJ Barthel's ties in the Northeast in general.
So yeah, it's going to be, across the Big Ten today, lots of big games. Michigan, USC, Nebraska, Maryland, Indiana, Oregon, Illinois, Ohio State. It seems like that game's barely getting talked about. And then Alabama, Missouri. That's a number 8 versus 14 matchup. You got Texas and Oklahoma.
Red River rivalry.
Yeah, Auburn, Georgia, between the hedges, or I'm not sure if it's between the hedges, but that's just, I don't know, when I think of that rivalry. So yeah, lots of, I saw somewhere where it was like, there's no legitimate reason to leave your couch today. And I think that's probably true.
There's never a legitimate reason to leave my couch, but today, these games especially make me not want to leave my couch.
And got some baseball. That was a hell of a baseball game. Did you stay up to watch the baseball game?
That was crazy. First time since 2001 for the Seattle Mariners. The Yankees are eliminated, so I'm happy. That made the sting of the Red Sox being eliminated a little bit easier, but I'm very happy for the Mariners. Mariners and Blue Jays should be a really, really fun series.
What's also going to be fun is that we're going to have somebody who hasn't won the pennant either ever, and Seattle's never won the pennant, and Toronto hasn't won the pennant since 1993. So either way, in the American League, we're going to have a team who hasn't won the American League pennant in 32 years since Toronto won the World Series back in 1993 with the Joe Carter home run. Man, that's like my childhood days. That was back when baseball was on NBC, and Joe Carter jacked that one out of there off. Oh, I can't even remember the guy's name, the pitcher now, but anyway, that was. And I don't think the Phillies have one either. Of course, they got beat, so they're not going to win this year. But although maybe they
won the World Series back in 08.
So. You're right. Okay, you're right. So I don't feel bad for them as much. And the Dodgers, if it's not the Cubs, I want it to not be the Dodgers. Like, that's the only team I don't want to see win it, because they've won it recently and they just spend all the money. So even if the Brewers beat my Cubs, I'm still going to cheer for the Brewers. It's kind of, it's weird because I'm a Packers fan and a Cubs fan. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but It's just because
Well,
when I
neither does a Michigan fan and a Nebraska
well,
fan, but there you go.
well, true, but I have my reasons though.
Yeah, you do have your reasons.
But and the reason I'm a Cubs fan is because I lived in Nebraska. So when I lived in Hastings, Nebraska, every day when I get home from school, I'd watch the Cubs on WGN. So that's how I became a Chicago Cubs fan. So hopefully they'll win today. But it's good. Just either way, the main point, it's going to be a hell of a day to be couch surfing. So
Are you going to be a Blackhawk? You should start being a hockey fan and being a Blackhawks fan or something.
I should. And I don't know why the hockey team I cheer for is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I have no idea why.
Really?
Yeah, I have no true allegiance to them, but for some reason I started liking them. I don't know why. And then
they always choke in the first round of the Bruins. So
yeah, exactly. So I don't know why they.
That's a weird. Out of all your allegiances or whatever, the Maple Leafs is the weirdest one I think so far that I've heard.
Yeah, I know, and it's not really. I don't even care anymore about them. So I did like the Florida Panthers a little bit, just because my grandma lived in Miami, and I did go see them play. But that's about it.
Yeah, the Panthers are kind of annoying because they're always so good. Yeah, no, that dynamic is interesting. But
There's not as much as it used to be though. But yeah, it's funny. I went to a Cubs game. I was telling the story the other day to my son, but I went to a Cubs game in 1998. This was during like the home run years.
Yeah,
and it was Cubs White Sox, which is funny. My dad, got me tickets, and we went to the game. So then there was a rain delay, and my dad, I don't know what he was thinking, but he decides to whip out this bright Green Bay Packers rain jacket and turns it on. And so the only thing that could have united the Cubs fans and the White Sox fans, and so like about 200 people start looking at my dad, Cubs and White Sox fans, and they just start chanting "Packers suck, Packers suck," and I'm just like, why did you wear that shirt, man? This is the wrong place. This is the wrong town to be wearing a bright green Packers shirt. So
I wish I was old enough to live through the steroid era days because that was magical.
Yeah, I saw Barry Bonds during the steroid era, so it was pretty cool. I did see Sammy Sosa hit a home run the next year, not the home run year, but the next year I saw him hit a home run. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so let's see. We got about 5 minutes left here on the chat, so I feel like throw some predictions in here. So what does everybody think is going to happen today? I know we got I predicted 27-17, and I was thinking back on it, so I'm 4-1, like 4-1 straight up this year, because I picked Nebraska to beat Michigan and they lost. I'm 2-2 against the spread because I don't think they even had a spread for Houston Christian.
So everybody just kind of went to the Houston Christian game, got it over with, and forgot about it.
so I missed the spread in the Cincinnati game and the Michigan game, but I hit the pick against the spread last week because I thought that Michigan State would cover but lose, and then I hit the spread against Akron. So 4-1 overall, 2-2 against the spread. I got Nebraska covering today, 27-17. I think Emmett's going to run for 100 yards. I do believe that today we're going to see Ja'Cory Barney get a touchdown on punt return. Maryland is like outside the top 100 in punt return defense. They're 14th in kick return defense. So one way or another, I think Mike Eckler's unit is going to run back a kick or a punt today for a touchdown.
I think my bold prediction is going to be that Ja'Cory Barney is going to have another 100-yard receiving game.
I can see that for sure. James, 28-17, Nebraska. I definitely can see that. Yeah, I think this will be a big step for Nebraska if they can come win this game. But I don't know. Anytime you play in the Big Ten on the road, it's always concerning.
In the words of the great Al Davis, just win, baby.
Just win, baby. 34-21, Mitch.
Yeah, I like that.
That'd be a nice day for the offense. I do feel like Dylan Raiola is gonna spin it today. I feel like it might be a little more like the Cincinnati game, just like, yardage wise and kind of trying to control the clock a little bit. But I feel like he's going to spin it.
I want to see the offensive line from the second half of last week and not the offensive line from the first half of last week.
Nebraska 24, Maryland 10. Yeah, I think Maryland's going to struggle to move the ball a little bit. And I think that John Butler, he's been so good this year, third downs. I mean, just the way that when you look at the numbers of these quarterbacks, like Bryce Underwood threw for 105 yards against us, and I realized they ran the ball and did all that stuff, but I mean, he threw for 215 and a half against Wisconsin. You know what I mean? And Sorsby, 69 yards against us, and he's averaging 295 against everybody else. So there's got to be something to that. And I think that we'll see that today.
John Butler, I know people were kind of like, oh, we should have hired somebody from the outside. Why do we settle for John Butler? We're figuring out why we settled for John Butler.
Yeah, I could see Emmett getting less than 100 yards. I think that's kind of my bold prediction. But, I mean, to get that, I think he's going to have to have some, like, incredible runs. You know, some of those where he's juking people and stuff because the offensive line has struggled a little bit. I do think, though, we can run at their edge players, and I don't think their defensive tackles are that great. So I think Nebraska can get there, but Maryland does have a really good linebacker that Mitch is talking about. I don't remember his name, but they're really solid. The other thing they do well is they take the ball away. So if Dylan can get through this game without an interception, I think that'll be a big achievement for him.
And some of that falls on Dana Holgorsen. I think he needs to scheme up plays that get the ball out quicker, shorter bubble screens, those type of, like, I know the offense is designed for longer developing plays, but they need to design some plays that are a little bit quicker moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fan thing. I mean, that's just what they do. Like, you know, Michigan beat Wisconsin 24-10 last week, and you had a lot of people feeling the same way. So, I mean, it's just, you know, fans get nitpicky, but it's better to be nitpicky or mad. I'd rather be mad about a win than mad about a loss.
Butler was an outside hire, but I think they were looking for Butler to have an interim tag only while we found someone else that fans wanted. But I kind of knew when Butler was hired personally that he was going to replace Tony White. I didn't realize that White was going to be out the door so quickly, but I thought that Butler was there to be the next defensive coordinator.
And I mean, it should be noted that he was hired after Tony White flirted with UCLA and USC. I guess it was USC. Sorry, not UCLA. So yeah, and John Butler wanted to be a DC, so it worked out for everybody. The lack of turnovers this year is not talked about enough. I'd agree with that. You look at one thing that Nebraska's consistently done during these years of losing, it's turning the football over way too much. They've got 3 turnovers in 5 games. Dylan Raiola has 2 turnovers in 5 games. That's how you win. That's how you win football games. The turnover ratio is positive 1.2 per game. So if you win the turnover battle every game, you're probably going to win most of the time. I mean, that's just basic football knowledge. And for years, Nebraska could not win the turnover battle. And we saw that, you know, last year they got pretty close to even, and now we're plus 1.2. That's where Maryland's at too. So that's going to be a key factor in this game. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, the way Nebraska's taking care of the ball, like, that's a huge reason why they're 4-1 right now.
Yeah, they have done a really good job taking care of the football, and I agree with Mitch here too. But
yeah, he's going to go to the NFL.
They have done a good job from, you know, not dropping the football on punt returns to clean snaps to avoiding interceptions. They have really cleaned it up in that area, and it's been refreshing to see as opposed to past years.
And well, the other thing I think that's probably not getting talked about enough is the lack of explosive plays given up. They've given up, I think, 1 explosive play in the passing game. I mean, my God, I remember when we played Georgia Southern, we gave up 10. I mean, because we were playing guys 12 yards off. So I mean, just like the way
I remember watching that game with you.
Yeah, the way this defense is transformed. But yeah, we're you know, having fewer penalties, turnovers, special teams. Like, football is not a complicated sport. If you don't turn the ball over, if you don't screw up a third of the game, the kicking game, like Nebraska always did, it's pretty easy to win. And like if we want to look at the last 10 years. You know, why is Nebraska, like, what has always cost us in a lot of these games? Because we turn it over, we fumble it, and then we miss kicks and we let people run kicks back and stuff. So, I mean, just like locking down those 2 things and then upgrading the quarterback position, just those 3 simple steps, like, that has taken us from a 5-7 program to a team that can push for 10 wins. Like, that's it. And the better that Dylan Raiola gets, the better this team's going to get. And by next year, he's going to be pretty freaking good, because he's pretty freaking good right now.
I also noticed that you are having a nice little plant collection behind you, and This is totally unrelated to the stream whatsoever, but the running joke here is that Chris is building a little garden behind him, and he's got some plants back there now, I see.
Yeah, a lot of plants. Yeah, the wife's got a lot of plants, so she doesn't know what to do with them now. She's got so many plants, she doesn't know where to put them all. That's getting cold, so we'll see. I don't know.
So now they're going to become
Chris's
your
plant
problem.
emporium.
And
Yeah, Chris's plant emporium is going to be opening up here soon. Unless you were playing Ohio State or Oregon, then you have to have more talent. Nebraska doesn't have to worry about that this year. So
I'm so
yeah.
glad we're not playing Oregon this year.
Will we see a fake punt from Archie today? Maybe. Yeah, I know a lot of people were mad about the fake punt last week. I wasn't.
I had no problem with it whatsoever.
I thought that was a good call. It just didn't.
Yeah.
Just didn't work out. Sometimes good calls don't work out. Doesn't mean it was a bad decision. Just, you know.
Plus, it was like 70-mile-an-hour winds. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I the thing that encouraged me the most last week, just, you know, this team took a punch. They played poorly for a while, and then they bounced back. And like when they needed to, because that's the thing is bad team. Like, I mean, I don't know why I got this reference, but I can remember, you know, the dominant Miami team of 2000 that destroyed us in the national championship game with Ed Reed and all those guys. Like they should have won every game by 50. And I remember that they needed Ed Reed to like pick off a pass and run it back against Boston College because Boston College was about to
that game.
Yeah, it was like first and goal. So I mean, like sometimes you just have bad games, but the good teams, when it really truly matters, they can turn it on and they can find a way to win. And that's what I liked about Nebraska's game last week. Not everything as a whole, but that when they got down 21-14, like I was like, here we go again. I think I'd messaged you. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, you did.
Because it's just like, man, are they gonna? And then they came right. But what did they do? 5 minutes later, the game was tied. 10 minutes later, they were in the lead, and 20 minutes later, they were up by 10. So it's like that is to me that was pretty remarkable, and I thought that was one of the biggest signs so far that we've seen a change under Matt Rule.
Two great references in this stream: Jake Locker and the 2000 Miami Boston College game.
Yeah, that was a good game. That was a damn good game.
Yeah.
Because I did not want to play Miami, so I was rooting super hard for Boston College to beat them. So, although Nebraska shouldn't have been in the national title game anyway that year after losing 62-36, but good old BCS.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't miss the BCS, but I do wonder what the rankings would look like nowadays.
Yeah, I think Miami would. I think Miami would be 1. I think Ohio State would be Oregon probably would be 2. Just because the strength of victory mattered so much in that system, you know, like Ohio State, the Texas win looked good, but now it doesn't. Now it's just like, well, yeah, Texas Arch Manning kind of sucks. So it's like that just looked. So I mean, Oregon and Miami definitely, just based on the resume tests, I think would be ranked higher in the BCS rankings. But
I think Miami's the best team in college football right now.
I think it's Oregon and Ohio State and then Miami, but. I think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan this year. I just do. I think they figured it out. I think they finally figured out how to play. And Matt Patricia, everybody made fun of him, but I think we both said he was going to do a good job, and he's been incredible. So
people remember the disaster led by Bill Belichick. Stop me if you've heard that one before. But
I do remember how we backed in. He's talking about the 2000. Well, that was the craziest season. I remember Florida lost to Tennessee, and Tennessee was the favorite. Florida was supposed to go to the championship game. They had Rex Grossman. They lost, and then Tennessee was kind of in that spot, and then they lost to LSU, like John David Booty and Nick Saban. And then Colorado beat Chris Sims in Texas in the Big 12 championship game. So yeah, it was a crazy. I remember, and Eric Crouch was doing this with the Heisman scenario because at the trophy, because they had for whatever reason, maybe it was because of 9/11 that year, 2001. That was that same year. But the Heisman Trophy ceremony was the same weekend as the conference championship games that year. So Eric Crouch got the Heisman the same night that all these teams were like losing, and Oregon almost lost too, I think, to like Oregon State. So like there was
Joey Harrington, quarterback.
Yep. Yeah, Mark Sanchez definitely going to prison for a long time. So.
No, I thought the butt fumble would be his biggest mishap of his career, and it ended up being him going to prison. So there you go.
But I mean, are you surprised when a guy's done a butt fumble? Are you really surprised that he does something so that stupid? So
no.
All right. Well, on that note, you guys, I got to go get my kid up and get ready for what should be a great college football Saturday. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. That was
Yeah.
super awesome
Yeah.
engagement. So thanks a lot for that, you guys. Hope you have a great day watching Nebraska. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know with your predictions. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.